anytime they want to move on, honey, to DC or Baltimore. So tempted to take on another job 'cause they pay so much more. Hey, welcome into another edition of Tony Talks Trash About Music. Remember, hit that like button right now. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to our podcast. Tonight, we are counting down the music of that one of the most influential bands I can think of ever, especially on the 80s and beyond. I'm talking about that wonderful English art rock band formed by Bryan Ferry back in 1970, Roxy Music. Dino and I did Talk, and you've heard all the new romantic bands and all these. And there's no question that, I went through a period of time in my life, I guess, where I was one of these guys who had the greatest hits thing of Roxy, and I kind of even poo-pooed, Brian's solo career. I've really downplayed that a lot until I really got those records and listened to those. And one of the things that I don't think I've said this on here before, and I'll tell the story in a minute, but when you look at the story of Roxy Music, formed in 1970, but it's funny, by Bryan Ferry and then Graham Simpson, it looks like then that was the hired place from then that point on. He's lasted one record, and then of course eventually Andy Mackay, and who still was still named in the band and still in everyone that came after that. Phil Manzanera, of course, on guitar, fantastic with his stuff with 801 and the other things he's done, and Paul Thompson playing drums originally. And then you've got Brian Eno. And of course, on that first record, there's nothing really like that. And I'm doing these ratings, and you might be surprised where that ends up landing on my ranking here with this. But that record really, it's hard to describe the liberating and the foundational shakeup with that. Certainly, Eno embraced the glam rock look early on, always did, and the band really in their dress did as well. Eno lasted only one record. You've got kind of revolving door with some of the bass players there who are coming along. Eventually, John Wetton joins but before that, Eddie Jobson joins and for a large period, and is very suited, I think, to the harmonic and aims of Bryan Ferry, who really, from the beginning to the end, to tell you the truth, is the dominant force. It's hard to debate that, and I think he kind of downplayed that. And I'll tell you the story a little bit now. After Roxy Music, after he was doing his own thing, I had a friend in D.C. when I lived there that worked in a record company. His name was Bob Mady. He actually lives in San Diego now. And my girlfriend and I, through him, got invited to a party that they had, and more or less just a promotional get together with Bryan Ferry for the day. And it was incredible. I mean, I was just hanging with Bryan Ferry, and he was such a kind of a soft-spoken guy, but it was funny the way he liked to dress, and he liked that he was evidently had a relationship or something I'd heard previously with somebody there, locally in the record company. I don't know if that's how we ended up having him there, but he was just a gentleman. My girlfriend at the time, Amy Kearns, went there with me, and it was just a delightful day. We got pictures and we got signatures. I don't know what happened to our pictures. Maybe Amy might have those, but yeah, it was a great fun, and he was a gentleman, and kind of formal. After a while, it was kind of like he didn't want people crowding in a lot, but it was good. It was a crowd that wasn't doing that anyway. A bunch of us people knew each other. Everything was kind of chill, and some of the people I didn't know, I was just being quiet and let them talk. But anyway, that was in the 80s. That was on the Bête Noire record. I don't know when that was. It was the second one of the ones after Boys and Girls, had followed up Avalon here, the end of this. But anyway, Roxy Music is a tale of really Bryan Ferry seeing it through. You've got Bryan Ferry. Andy Mackay, of course, has still been in the band, and Phil Manzanera, and they have great influence on it, and they have had more influence on different things. But the sound has changed. The sound has changed. Obviously, the first record, everybody knows about Virginia Plain and how kind of freaky some of those early songs were. I think they're great. I really come to love that more and more, and I love that early period. That early period's really good. But anyway, after you move on, then I guess I'd said Paul Thompson joined. They said in '71, so their first stuff happened, and then EG financed recording the records for the EG records, associated with Fripp Island, and that did that, and then the solo projects took over kind of in the mid '70s, and they still made some great music for the Stranded Country Life. Eddie Jobson came in, and he was young at the time, 18 years old. But again, I think his some of his tendency towards strings and some of his tendency towards really pleasing this, and after the tour For Your Pleasure ended, the tour to promote that was out, and John Porter then came in on bass, and then you had another bass gentleman here that has remained with him for a long time. I don't know when he came in here. After Siren, they said, and Concert Towards Support of Siren in '76, Roxy Music had disbanded. Then the live album Viva came out, and then after that, they came back out with after the hiatus, and that's kind of a period of time where we'll talk about, which is just kind of changed, and it really kind of melded with Bryan's solo career, and you really couldn't tell those. In my opinion, there's not a lot to distinguish some of those, especially when it comes down to it. Now, there's some reformations that have happened since the Avalon, and really they went out on top. I remember when Avalon came out, people were kind of surprised by the tone of it, but the singles were really just smooth as silk. And then you carry on. If you listen to Boys and Girls, and you listen to Bête Noire, and some of the songs Day for Night, and the song Boys and Girls, and things like that, you have a continuation of that same Avalon chill vibe that really, you've got not so much Steely Dan, but you've got some of the background singers, the girls singing, and Bryan just setting everything up to be perfect, and he's really the master at that. Let's get down to this, man. I've talked about this long enough. Let's go to the first record here on my list, and I am talking about number 8, and I'm talking about Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood, a number 1 record. The funny thing about this record that I'm not really crazy about is number 1. It sounds like Bryan is a little weary with this. You have the singles here. Over You was a single. Oh yeah, same old scene. And then for some reason in the midnight hour, and I don't get it. I never got it. I don't understand. A lot of my least favorite stuff of Bryan's stuff are the cover records, and it's just this. I like his own material so much. But if you look at the writing credits with this, the beginning of the writing, and I didn't talk about that, I guess, at the beginning, and that's kind of why the beginnings, as long as it is, there's a lot to talk about with these guys. But if you look at the writing credits, the beginning it was almost entirely Ferry, and Ferry did all the work, and so Ferry gets the credit with this. But in this one, you lead off with In the Midnight Hour with just the Memphis thing. Oh yeah, is a decent one. Flesh and Blood, kind of, we're leaning towards the Avalon thing. Same old scene, My Only Love. And you've got the same band here. You've got Andy Newmark playing drums on most of this, and it has that tight sound to it. And maybe that's something to do with why, to me, it slips just a little bit behind the one that I've got down at number 7. But again, 8 Miles High, Over You is a Manzanera combination. It's a good song, but I'm not crazy about Rain, 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 or No Strange Delight. Running Wild is not a bad closer, but in all, it's a very non-Herculean record from a band that typically delivers over their head. And if you look at the sum of the parts of the band, and the bands are good players, but normally what they come up with and the meticulousness of what they work at, and that's why I'm most a fan of that. The way these records are produced, And it's well. And here, this was engineered, it was produced by Roxy Music and Red Davis. And I guess Red Davis at the time had done some pop things that were good. To me, a good record, not a great record. This record is a 1980 record. I'm talking about Flesh and Blood, and that's number 8. And so that means the number 7. You know what number 7 is going to be. You know what that is, and that is the other controversial one. It's time to dance, baby. It's Manifesto time. And if you look at Manifesto, Manifesto was right before this. Manifesto was the 1979 record, 1979 version of the large band. At this time, Manifesto was Ferry, Manzanera, Mackay, Gary Tibbs, Paul Thompson, Alan Spinner, and Paul Carrick as well. Paul Carrick, you know, the guy of Ace, the guy that Mike and the Mechanics singer guy. I mean, just crazy. But you know, it's different. The song "Trash," "Dance Away," "Angel Eyes." You know, I saw the guys in Taste Like Music argue about this record. One of them, I think, likes it, and the other one doesn't really. And I have to go with the one that really doesn't. I mean, you've got a lot of fairy domination again with these songs, but I think it's a deliberate treatment of these songs and the way these songs are treated. I don't like Trash really. Manifesto's not bad. Stronger Through the Years is a good song here. But Cry, 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 Spin Me Around. Again, is it something to get into? Yes. I think it's more of a cycle. And I think it hangs together better than Flesh and Blood. And so if I was going to rate this thing, I would give this 3.5, whereas I would give Flesh and Blood just a 3. I think this is a decent record. I think they made the most of what they had here, but I don't think particularly the songs on this record are as good as some of the Fairy Crafted songs before. So that's the 1979 record that is at number 7, which is Manifesto. Let's go to the next record, and this may surprise some people, but I'm going to go to the finale here, and we are going to go to Avalon, 1982 Avalon. He says, "Oh, Tony, come on, man. Listen, I admit to you more than this is a masterpiece. Anybody that says it's not, everybody hear 10,000 Maniacs version of it? Natalie Merchant. I'll tell you a Natalie Merchant story one of these days. But anyway, the space between Avalon, India. I mean, with all the atmospheric sounds and the spacing, this is really where I don't know how to explain it. I guess the depths. I guess more of a depth of a round duo uh, sound with reverb, and they really set things back. Take a chance with me to turn you on. Tara. I mean, these are almost all Ferry. Ferry's the entire first side. While my heart is still beating, Mackay gets some raised credit on. He plays a good bit of great sax players. On this record, a lot. I mean, they slow it down for him a lot of those, but Tara. I mean, mixed by Bob Clearmountain. Again, Red Davies for EG and this record sold, man. It sold in DC where I was, and I think it's a beautiful record. And it breaks my heart that in my mind that's where I'm going to put number 6, but I don't know where else to put it. At number 5, this may be crazy, but we talked about it before, that first Roxy Music record. The Bob, Bitter's End, Would You Chance Me to, remake, remodel, of course. Just nothing like it in the world. Ladytron, is there something? You've heard the David Bowie cover of this. There's nothing that sounds like this ever. Nobody heard these squelches and this stuff, and the combination of that and the voice of Bryan Ferry, and then you've got the oboe and saxophone of Mackay. It's so weird. This record is a lot more quirky and a lot more different, and a lot of that still maintains throughout the time with this. But this is the first Roxy Music record, all songs, as you can see, by Bryan Ferry, and it's just what a trip. What a great record. Look at those shoes, man. Anyway, Something else. What the girls that he has on the covers too. I mean, I'm not one of these guys. I'm really not, and that's why you're going to be disappointed when you know the time comes that I don't have Michael Corolli's wife looking package on Country Life. Sorry, I got one of the censored ones. I got one of those, and it's the edition of it, the pressing of it I have is just fine. But that's what I have there. What am I going to say? I mean, these records are just like every one of them are such a gem. Let's go to the next one, and let's go to the wonderful Eddie Jobson. You know, dominated, I guess you want to say. Stranded, record number 3, the introduction of young Eddie. 18-year-old Eddie Jobson. There he is. There's a beautiful model on the front. Beautiful girl. Bryan Ferry again. Ferry writing credits on all but 2 songs here by the third one. Amazona and a song for Europe, one for Phil and one for Andy, one for each, and that's it. And it's beautiful. It's such a together record, and it's just funny how his writing has changed over the period of time. Street Life, of course, was the one that most people know, just like you. Psalm, I like Psalm. Mother of Pearl, of course, is a wonderful song. Love the lyrics, and I love Sunset, Serenade, Song for You. I mean, it's a masterpiece. It's one of the great ones. It's really our introduction, the world's introduction, really, to this guy. And I just think, let me look back here at it in just a second. I want to pull it here and see what we got, but. There was a long period of time that this band really didn't do much. And if you're going all the way back to Stranded here, you're going back to 1973. This is the third, like you said, this is the third record. And it's things are still fresh. Things are still popping off the sleeves. Street Life was the big one that people know. I can put this record on anytime. And that's where it is. We have but 8, 7, 6, 5, and this is number 4, and this is the wonderful record Stranded from 1973. That really leaves us with 3 records, and as I told you before, I'm sorry. In the next year, I do not have one of the ones. This is Roxy Music number 4. Songs the girls. Songs the see-through top of Michael Corolli's wife, of Can, of course, the guitar player of the wonderful band Can. The thrill of it all, everybody knows that. That's the biggie. And All I Want Is You, and that's it. And then you've got the Triptych, which is kind of a follow up, I guess, away in some of the more quirky early things that you've got. But Bittersweet is the Andy one on this. And you got the Phil one at the end with Prairie Rose, and you got two with each on this one. That's the difference. You've got. I think it's great. I think Eddie Jobson really with the strings. I think the strings, his inclination towards that kind of a melodic sound, a string sound, fits so well. And really, Bryan knows how to cut against it, knows how to write the songs. Just fantastic. And certainly a lot of people like it for the regular cover. I like the regular cover too, but I got that one, and I got that one a long time ago. So I got that down at place I was today, actually, CD Seller down in Falls Church. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty here, man. We got 2 records left to go. What's it going to be? You know what it's going to be. Do you know what it's going to be? Are you sure you know what it's going to be? Well, I'm going to go with number 2 and a record that does not have. This is the 5th Roxy Music record, Siren. Yeah, Love is the Drug. Andy Mackay wrote that, and I did not realize that. I didn't realize that Andy wrote that, but this is in 1975. Yes, that's Jerry Hall, Mick Jagger's old wife there on there, now married to the richest guy, whatever that other rich guy is. But then you've got Thompson back on. You got Thompson playing drums. You've got Jobson. You've got Gustafson playing bass. Now he's not listed here as the band, but he's not in the band. End of the line, Whirlwind, which I love, and that's another. So you've got a lot of these, and you've got actually a Jobson Ferry thing. So I don't know if he had to negotiate these things or not, but it seems like they're picking up some. Love is a Drug, of course, was Mackay. Was Mackay that was really probably loves they love the oboe on that. That really kind of makes that work. Sentimental Fool, but I love Both Ends Burning, and that's a Bryan song. And Just Another High is great too. It's but she sells as a Jobson, as an Eddie Jobson. And great record. This is a Chris Thomas production. This is Chris Thomas. I don't know. They knew Chris Thomas through the Stones, or maybe that's how Jerry got. When did she get hooked up? It's not too long after that, huh? Well, I guess he had to go through Bianca first. 74. This is what, 70? Yeah, this is right. 75. So it's not too long before that. But that's Jerry Hall on the front, and that's the mighty, and with the bounce of Both Ends Burning and Love Is a Drug. I mean, they were on off. They were peaking. They might be not here in the States, and I was always disappointed a little bit, the way that they went down to the States. We always loved them because we followed them. They were always in some of the rock mags, like Cream and Circus. They were always had mentioned Roxy Music. Roxy Music was thought of as a great thing. And anyway, let's talk about the peak. And that only leaves one. And that leaves one place to go, and the only place that it's going to go is going to be the black record, the record with the sleek young lady with the panther at the end of it. It's about Roxy Music for your pleasure. And this is just the end of the first band. Let's see. It's that Phil beside him, right? You even have the drummer. You even have Thompson, right? Thompson's playing guitar. Everybody's playing guitar. It's great, man. What a great Do the Strand, baby. Do the Strand. Beauty Queen, Strictly Confidential's Editions of You. And every dream home and a heartache. This is and the makeup of Bryan there's nothing like this. I mean, this is a peak of something. Look at right in the middle. And even like somebody like Tav Falco. I mean, Tav really wants to be Bryan Ferry. A lot of people really want to be Bryan Ferry. Bryan Ferry is the kind of the quintessential handsome gentleman that just knocks you out with his talent, and he's great. Of course, For Your Pleasure is fantastic. Bogus Man, great. This is again all Bryan. In Recorded Air Studios, February 1973. This is something I've really 5-star. Everybody should have this record. The first one's a little rough, a little quirky, but by this point, and they were ready to kill each other. You can tell that on this that Eno's a little squelch, but to find the balance, you need that, and it was just too much to continue, and it ended. But these two records, I'm telling you, this first one, but this one, For Your Pleasure, number 2. That's my recommendation for a 5-star record. What would I put Siren? Certainly 4.5 stars. I would put Country Life at probably 4.5 stars. And then I would probably put 4-star records after that for Stranded. The first record. And 4-star record for 3.5. 4 stars for Avalon. What the hell? What's a low 4 stars? And then I would go on down with that. But anyway, again, please hit the like button, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about these guys. I think they've got they have a great thing going. They're really important to art rock. And if you look at them and when they came, you look at Sparks, you look at a lot of stuff that was happening. They had a hand in really creating something out of nothing. And so when you think about Bryan Ferry, you need to think about him differently. And I'm going to come back and do a countdown of his solo records, which are really kind of neglected. And I just said, before, I'm not the biggest fan of some of the stuff that is has a lot of covers in it, but Other than that, I think he's great. But anyway, please again smash that like button for us. Remember to subscribe and leave your thoughts down there about Bryan and what your favorite stuff is and what this stuff means to you. I think they're severely underrated when you talk about influence. I mean, they're probably one of the most influential bands on 80s and 90s bands. They just had a completely different look at things, and the way they kind of schmaltzed into the not schmaltz but smoothed into the deal with superior musicianship certainly has to be admired, and I still admire them and really admire their work. And I would especially recommend, as I said again, anybody check out for your pleasure. And even the first record, any of the first three or four that I mentioned, they really made good, consistently good records. There's not that much of a wasted track on any of these records, and that's the one thing that you'll find if once you're a connoisseur, or you're a fan of the music and you start owning it, is that it's remarkably consistent. And so, hats off to everybody, all you Roxy fans. How you doing, man? And leave your list below. We will catch you guys next time. Thanks.